factors. So a very, very warm welcome to the godfather of Swiss watchmaking, Mr. Biver. We are very happy to have you here.
Thank you very much for this nice introduction. uh, very, very, very nice. I'm very pleased to be also with you. I'm sorry for the late, it's 9:30 in Bombay. Next meeting, I will do it at your time. You choose what time I have to be there, and I will be there.
Thank you, Mr. Biver. That is very kind of you. So I will straight away jump to the questions then. And I think what I think what everybody would be very, very keen to know is when and how did you get passionate about watches?
Yeah, that's that's an easy question to answer because I had no passion at all. And because I had no passion, I was a hippie. I lived in a commune and no passion. I didn't know what to do in my life. So I said, I should go to the best waiting room in the world. And I decided that the waiting room would not be at the railway station or at the airport, but the waiting room would be the university. Because while you are waiting to know what to do, at least you don't lose too much time, because every day you can get instructions, you can get, so I went to the university. My parents didn't like it too much, the way I was behaving. So I I joined the hippie commune and I worked every night from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. to make money at the post office, loading packages into the post train. Every train in Switzerland has one car with post packages and letters. And so my job was in this railway station from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. to charge and disload the packages from the train. And while I was in the commune, we were asking ourselves, what shall we do later on once we have finished the studies? And we said the best way is to follow Confucius, because Confucius said, if you don't want to feel the pain of your job, choose your passion as a job. And we said, a few guys said, yes, that's great. And they had a passion. And I said, but I have no passion. How can I define, how to find a passion? So one of my friends said, but you had toys when you were a baby. I said, yes. What was your favorite toy? And I said, it was a steam machine. And he said, yes, but then you were, how old were you? I said, I was 10 years old when I was playing with this steam machine. I loved the steam machines. And he said, but now you are 22 and the toy has also become older. Not only you have changed, your size have changed, you have more muscles, you are stronger, and the toy cannot be the same at 22 years old than the toy was when you were 10. So let's see how a steam machine can evolve. And one guy said, you know, a watch is a machine, and the watch is like a steam machine. It has wheels, it has, everything. And a watch, I can see that the evolution of a steam machine into a watch movement. And I said, wow, that's great. So I have decided that my passion would become watches. So I forced myself to understand and to dig into the history. And finally, another friend of mine introduced me to the chairman of Audemars Piguet, the chairman of Audemars Piguet, Mr. Georges Gaulet was his name. And I got introduced to him at 3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. And when I came out at 3:30, my wife asked me, so do you have a job? And I said, yes and no, because Mr. Gaulet told me you know, little man, you have some diploma and you have a master, but you don't know anything about watches. So first you have to learn what it means. What is the watchmaking art? What is the watchmaking culture? What is the watchmaking history? Etc., etc. And in order to learn this, you will be sitting next to watchmakers during the first 9 to 12 months. I said, but I don't understand anything. My fingers are not made to make watches. He said, it doesn't matter. You just sit next to them and you look at them. And then you will speak at them. And then you might go eat with them. Then you might go play football. And slowly, slowly, you will understand what the watchmaking art means. And so, and during these 9 months or this year, I will only pay you half a salary because the other half is for me, because my people will have to devote some time to give you instructions. And that is how I started in 1975 at AP. And I never have, since I have only worked in this, in the watch industry, it became my passion. I even wear today a very wonderful ultra slim Royal Oak limited edition. And so that is my history. That is my history. And that is a good example for all the kids who have no passion, because normally not everybody has a passion when he is young. If you don't have a passion, try to find one and be curious and ask yourself questions. And the more you ask questions, the more you are curious, the more you will find one day your passion. And then try to work in your passion, which is what I did. And that is why from 1975 to today, I really never had the impression I was working. I never have felt the pain of work. I could work till 2 o'clock in the morning, start again at 4, whatever. Because when you are in your passion, you feel nothing. Passion is love. And when you are in love, the mountains are not a problem. You can climb any mountains to go when you are in love, to go and see your fiancé.
That is such a that is a great story, Mr. Biver. Um, so I would so when you were at AP, I believe you worked there for 5 years, right?
Yes.
And so during the course of AP, did you know somewhere in your heart that just very soon, in a year or two, I would be buying a watch brand?
No, not at all. Not at all. I was I was living day after day. I had not a real plan. I was so happy to have a job, first of all. Secondly, I loved the job. And thirdly, I thought I would stay all my life at AP. But one day I asked my Mr. Gole, the chairman, who I respect enormously, who has been my first mentor, by the way. So I owe him everything. Without him, I would not be speaking to you. Without him, I would not be wearing a Royal Oak. Without him, I would not have a watch collection. And without him, I would not have joined the watchmaking industry. So one day I said to him, after 4 years, I said, Mr. Gole, what is my future? One day I would like to be sales director. And he said, your future is in 14 years. In 14 years from today, I will retire. And in 14 not days, so in 14 years, and in 14 years, you will have an improvement of your hierarchic position. I said, what? He said, yes, 14 years. That's not a long time. You are only 29, so in 14 years, you will be 43. And when you are 29, then you think that 43 is already old. So I said, but I cannot wait 14 years. He said, yes, you have to wait 14 years because I will not retire before. And when I retire, you can go ahead. And I came home and I said, I'm going to leave. I'm not staying 14 years to wait. That's not possible. And that is why I left AP, and I left AP to join Omega.
And from Omega, you, along with your friend Mr. Piguet, you bought Lapa, which was
Yes, I joined Omega, and Omega was in a big crisis in 1980. It was a total chaos. It was the quartz crisis. And so I came at the worst moment. I came when the crisis was at its top. It was the top of the crisis. 70,000 people were jobless. Switzerland was thinking to sell Omega to Psycho. So it was terrible. And I said, I didn't feel well. And I didn't feel well, not because of Omega. I didn't feel well in the quartz movement. Because after 5 years at AP, when you have started to understand what these people are doing with their fingers, when you have been sitting next to them for 1 year, talking to them, I was even living there. I was living in the same village than AP. I got married there in the same village than AP. My wife had an atelier. She was a sculptor. So she was making sculptures. She had a shop there, a workshop, and so I didn't feel well with the quartz, and I said I regret. I would like to go back to mechanical, and mechanical watches is the future. That was my belief, and I told this to my friend Jacques Piguet, who was making movements. He's one of the most famous movement maker. I mean, his grandfather, under the name Louis-Élisée Piguet, and then his father took over under the name Frédéric Piguet, and Jacques Piguet was the third successor of the factory. And he was also very keen to redevelop the mechanical movement, because at that moment, he didn't have so much work, not many orders, because nobody was ordering mechanical watches. So both of us, we said, we have to relaunch the mechanical watch. And so in order to relaunch it, we could buy Blancpain for 22,000 US dollars, because we couldn't buy anything else than just the name. We bought the right to use the name, because there was no factory anymore, there were no offices anymore, there were no contracts anymore, no distribution anymore, no people anymore, no collection, no watches, no nothing. The only thing we got for 22,000 was the right to use the name. And so we started in 1982 with Blancpain, and we went on a very disruptive way to say, since 1735, there has never been a Blancpain watch in quartz, and there will never be one. That was the wording of our advertisement. And that was very strong. And everybody in Switzerland said, hey, what are these guys saying? The quartz is that quartz is the future. Quartz will bring back jobs to the Switzerland. And look, Swatch watch, how it works. Well, how can they say they have never made quartz? They're crazy. So we shocked people, and people said that cannot be. And we got a lot of attention. We got a lot of comments. And when people saw our watches, they were absolutely beautiful, very classical, white dial, very fine, round, 34 millimeter, ultra slim. And people said, wow, yeah, now we understand. That's a real watch. And it makes tick-tack, 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 tick-tack. And that is the start of the success of Blancpain.
I mean, of course, it was a bold move, just to own a brand and to quit your job and to buy a brand and to start with Blancpain. We've heard some of your experiences before, how you've had to be prudent, your stories from how you went to Baselworld in your van. Would you be able to share some of those experiences?
Yes, but number one, there was not much risk, because when you have no money, you cannot lose. You can only lose money when you have money. But when you have no money, how can you lose? So the risk was very small. which means we started extremely small. As you said, we couldn't even pay a room at the Basel Fair. We took our camping bus, which I had from my hippie time, and we were sleeping in the camping bus. I think we might have been the only owner of a watch brand of the Basel Fair, not sleeping in an hotel, but sleeping in the camping bus and going to the railway station every day with 2 Swiss franc money, putting into the showers, and we took showers at the railway station every morning. And then we put the tie on, and then we went to the Basel Fair. And when people were asking us, hey, where do you stay? We said we stay at the Hilton, because at the Hilton with 1,000 rooms, you are totally anonymous. So we took no risk. We said we stay at the Hilton. And in reality, we were sleeping in our camping bus, in the sleeping bag. So, and everything was like that. You know, we really managed as if you have no money. And if you have no money, you have to adapt to no money. And the problem is sometimes when you have a lot of money, people adapt as if they would have a lot of money. And that's the best way to become lazy, because you say, I have money, we have success. So I would say in the beginning, it's better with less money, because you need brain, you need creativity, you need to catch attention. And the first Basel Fair, where we were authorized to have a boost, we decided that we would need attention. And the attention was, the strategy was to make a stand, but to put no watches into the showcases. So we had 9 showcases, and they were empty all the time. And people were shocked. They said, hey, what's that? These people, is this a watch brand? They have nothing inside. But the only thing we had in the showcase was a description, who we are. We will never make a quartz watch. We will only stick to the art. Quartz is not art. Quartz is industrial. Art is eternal, etc., etc. So we got a lot of attention. And by the way, we saved a lot of money, because we didn't have to make prototypes to put in the showcases. We didn't. So you see, when you have no money, you adapt to no money. And the best adaptation is with your creativity. Another year, we had on purpose, we had broken one of our showcase. So people on the morning, they saw that the showcase is broken. Glass everywhere on the floor. People said somebody has stolen, and we said yes, maybe I don't know what has happened. So everybody came and looked and said, "Wow, somebody has stolen the Blancpain watch that was in this showcase." So that, you see, no money, you just have to adapt.
And you successfully made everybody talk about Blancpain anyway.
That's it. Yes, everybody talked about it. You know, in order to make the jeweler believe that the brand is hot and that the sellout is good, we were sending people like my cousin or the wife of my sister-in-law. We were sending them to the shop to buy the watches. So the jeweler was calling me on Monday. He said, I don't know what happened, but this weekend we sold 2 pieces. Can I reorder 5, please? But he didn't know that the 2 watches were bought from us by people that we have sent into the shop in order to buy. So, you know, and when you buy your own watches, it doesn't cost you much, but then the guy orders 5. So you have sold 5 watches. So the only thing that, the only cost was to send my sister-in-law with the train to the shop. So you see, no money and no brain, then you go bankrupt. But no money and a lot of creativity, you go to success.
And so within the first year, you were able to sell quite a lot of watches, right?
No. The first year we sold 97. We missed the magic number of 100. we were 3 short of 100. We sold 97 watches. On the second year, it was better. And then 10 years later, we were doing 12 million profit. In 1992, we did 12 million profit net. 92, 10 years later, 12 million profit.
And just 10 years later, in 92 is when you sold Blancpain.
Yeah, that's why I remember, because we sold Blancpain for 60 million. And 60 million, the number came out by 5 times the profit. So we had 12 million profit, and Swatch Group estimated the company 5 times profit, and 5 times 12 is 60. So we sold the watch, the brand, 60 million, and we had bought it 26,000. It's like cryptocurrency, nearly.
So, talking of cryptocurrency, Mr. Biver, you've been among the first to identify, new technologies, new materials. You were the first to do the 1735 for Blancpain, the most complicated watch back then, or just the recent auction for NFTs. How is it that you always manage to stay ahead of the curve, always progressive?
Because I am obsessed to be first, different, unique. If your philosophy in business is to be always first, different, unique, then you will become first, different, unique. But if you don't care so much, if you don't have very ambitious goals, you will stay where you are. And I was obsessed to be first, different, unique. I always said to my people, all we need is to be first, different, unique. As soon as we have a project, as soon as we have a concept, as soon as we have a philosophy, as soon as we have a product where we can claim this watch is first, different, and unique, we're going to sell. Easy. So all you have to achieve is to be first, different, unique. And when you are first, different, unique, you will have sold. You cannot go wrong. It's like when you play poker. If you have 4 aces, you cannot lose. You cannot lose.
So it's like you've identified your aces.
Pardon me?
You've identified your aces.
Yes,
yeah.
I play with 3 aces. First, different, unique. If you have the 3, you win.
That's great.
And when you tell people, give me a concept, give me a product, show me something where I can say first, different, unique, then people will start to think, and they might bring you something where you can say it's first, different, unique. But not everything that is first, different, unique is coherent with your message, with your brand. If somebody brings to Patek a design for a watch that will retail for $5, and he tells Patek you will be first, different, and unique, because you will be the first luxury brand to sell a $5 watch in wood. I mean, then you are first, different, unique, but you are stupid. Everything you do must be coherent with your DNA, with your philosophy, with your message. And inside this, there you must find first, different, unique.
Yep. We are hoping we'll be able to find our first, different, and unique. But
yes, Richard Mille, he has found first, different, unique. He was, he was first, different, unique. First in the price segment, which he put first in this special shape, first in the movement, first not to put a dial on the watch. So the guy was first, different, unique, and he succeeded. You can never succeed if you copy others. I mean, no, you can succeed a little bit. Confucius also said, only the dead fish swims with the current and in the direction of the current. So if you are in the current, like all the others, you are like dead. A fish that is alive, he goes left, right to the current, or against the current, or he goes with the current, but 3 times quicker. So never forget, only dead fish swims with the current. So you must be different. You must be contrarian. You must be disruptive. To be contrarian, to be disruptive, to be different, to be first, to be unique. That's what we need. That's what we want.
So what do you think, Mr. Biver, could be the new disruptor that would maybe come in the watch industry or will be adapted by the watch industry? Now that, after coronavirus, things have changed and some digital trends have, taken over, but we've known watch industry to be a little less adapted, other than you, of course. What do you think would be the new disruptor?
If I would know, I would not tell you. I would make a brand with the new. Honestly, I don't really know. There will be, I think there will be big changes, but not now. It will take 3, 4, 5 years. But the watch industry now has split into 2 already. One are all the watches that are driven by obsolescence. And then there is a group of watches that are meant to touch eternity. My mechanical watch, not this one, but also others, mechanical watches, in 100 years, you will still be able to wear the watch and it will work. A mechanical watch that is 300 years old today, or Big Ben in London, 100 years old, it still works. It never gets obsolete. The Royal Oak from AP celebrates next year 50 years. The Patek Philippe Nautilus from 1976 is now 45 years old. The Daytona, the Speedmaster. So you see, there is somehow in the high class of the watch brands, there is a smell of eternity. We are close to God because we are in art. It's the watchmaking art. The art never dies. The art, the Beatles or Mozart, he's dead, but his art is not dead. His soul is still alive. So, and Mozart never would have thought that millions of people are listening to his music, much more than when he was alive. When he was alive, there were a few thousand. Now there are billions. So Mozart didn't die. The body died. So who cares about the body? But the soul, the spirit, the art never dies. While on a quartz watch or on a connected watch, after 3 years, it's obsolete. My phone in a few years will be obsolete, finished. That is my 5th now. I already bought eight phones. I bought already 5 connected watches from Apple. I bought 3 from Tag Heuer, really, because it's obsolete. And so you have 2 separate products. You have the connected watches that are due to become obsolete, and you have the mechanical watches that are due to become eternal. That I can see, and that these 2 directions will separate more and more, and you will really have two different businesses. The business with connected watches has nothing to do with the business of mechanical watches. It's another business, and but it can have the same consumer. When I jog or when I go on my bicycle, I don't go with my mechanical watch. I have an Apple Watch, but today I have a Royal Oak. So you see, you can own both. one is not destroying the other one. They are just two different products. The Apple Watch or the Garmin watch, it's a computer on the wrist. The mechanical watch is a piece of art on the wrist. So you can have a piece of art on the wrist, and you can have a computer on the wrist. Why? But not at the same moment. There are moments where you are better off to have a computer on your wrist, and there are moments where it's better you have a piece of art on your wrist. So you just choose depending what you do. So you see, the two products can exist in parallel, and they don't compete. Eternity cannot compete with something that is obsolete. Eternity can eventually compete with God, but God is eternal. So God, who competes with God? God is eternal. Who competes with God? Nobody. But people can, so you see the competition between mechanical watches and connected watches should not exist, because it's not fair. You cannot compare both, because the mechanical watch is eternal and the other one is just obsolete in 3 or 5 years or 7 years, whatever. But one day for sure it will be obsolete.
That is something that we can see happening. But do you think technology will help mechanical watches or the art, as you say,
Yes,
to
yes,
preserve it to eternity?
technology helps, of course. Technology is important. Metallurgy, you know, the watch in the watchmaking art, the traditional one, you need different materials. For instance, carbon or titanium are extraordinary materials. They make the watch stronger. They make the watch harder. Ceramic makes the watch unscratchable. So all these materials, they bring colors. How can you make a red watch if you have a red ceramic? If not, you need a red plastic. Okay, that's different. That's cheap. But so you see, materials, technology, they are bringing new ideas in the weight, ultralight, or new colors, or new specification, cannot scratch or whatever. So technology can be used in the traditional watchmaking art, of course. If Mr. Breguet, you know, he was a watchmaker, Breguet, if he would be alive, you think he would make Breguet watches like he did in the 1758? Never, because he was a genius. He was ahead. He was a thinker. He was a scientific, and this man would never make a watch like he did in the 18th century. He would use all the materials from NASA, materials from the space. That's not the problem. We are free to use new materials.
Yes, that is a very, I was just thinking maybe we could, now, especially with Jeff Bezos traveling to space, space has become so accessible, getting materials from space would be even more accessible. And it is something that can be explored and should be explored, in fact.
Yes. And in a few years, we will have materials. We will be mining on Mars. Maybe we find on Mars fantastic new materials that we never heard till now, but they are hidden in planet Mars. And we will have machines, they will mine and take, So there's so much to be done. There's no limit. It's like when you look at the sky during the night, and people say, the sky is the limit. No, the sky is just a view. The sky is what you see. It's not the limit, because after the sky, it's eternity. So the sky is just a view. It's not the limit.
Yeah, that's a very good lesson that you've shared with us. You'd also just mentioned that you're wearing the Royal Oak from Audemars Piguet, and you mentioned the Nautilus. I think you own the Nautilus as well, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And there have been times when the Royal Oak has been compared to the Nautilus, and has been also compared to Big Bang, which, in fact, one of your favorite watches that you often wear.
Is
So,
the Big Bang all black?
yes. So, which one is the closest to your heart, Mr. Beaver?
The closest is the Big Bang all black, because that was extraordinary. It was in ceramic. It was the first sports watch in ceramic. It was the finishing was how do you say, blast. It was not it was a very nice finishing. It was in the shape of the Big Bang. It it was all black, 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 black. You know, the watchmaker told me, "How can you read what time it is?" I said, "People should not buy the watch to look at what time it is. They should buy the watch to look at the watch. When you have a great watch, you don't use it to read what time it is, because for that you don't need a beautiful watch. You just need somebody who tells you what time it is." So with a high class watch, you look the watch. I look on my watch, and I don't look what time it is. But you can do both, of course. I understand what you mean, but more important is don't look what time it is. Use your watch for your emotions, for your dreams, for your beauty, for the design, for the art, for the status. And if you want, you can also use it to look what time it is. That's secondary. And that's
So,
typically women. Women use watches where I know so many women collectors, they never put the watch on the right time. They don't care. They love the watch because it's a piece of beauty, it's a piece of jewelry. And on a piece of beauty and jewelry, who cares what time it is? It's not necessary.
I think it might be true, because I don't know if my watch is set. That is very true. We wear it for the love of watches.
Bravo.
Uh, Mr. Weaver, would you also be able to share a little about your collection as a watch collector?
Yes, I have a collection that is not big, but I usually buy pieces that have a history, pieces that made history, either in general or for the brand. So I'm interested in the signification or the role the watch has played. That is for me the most interesting part. Then I buy watches also with my eyes, because some watches I buy them, even if I get recommendation that the value is not so big and the watch has not a big future, if I like it, I buy it. So I buy with the eyes and I buy with the brain. The brain, I'm looking at watches that are rare, that have played a role for the brand, or that have played a role for the industry. So this is now, which watches do I collect most? I think the three brands I collect the most is AP, Patek, and Rolex. I think my collection might be 80%, 90% eventually concentrated around Patek, AP, and Rolex. And these are also my three favorite brands next to Hublot. If if I have if I have to name the five brands I respect the most and that I love also the most, I would really name those three, plus of course Hublot, because Hublot, that's the expression of my personal taste. That's the expression of my vision. Hublot is my vision. Hublot is a little bit my blood. And I would add, because I said five, I would eventually also add Cartier. That's very surprising because people say, how come Cartier is a jewelry? Yes, they are jewelry, but they have done extraordinary watches. They have done watches that are disruptive. You know, I don't know the name, um, and it's a very. I respect Cartier. They do a great job, um, and they have they play the role in the history. So those would be the five brands I like the most.
And do you also own most of the watches that you may have worked on?
Yes, I own a few Omegas. I own wonderful Zenith watches. I have 8 or 10 nice Carrera and Monaco Tag Heuer watches. I have, of course, a nice choice of Speedmasters and Seamaster. Yes, I have what usually from Blancpain, I have all the 6 masterpieces in platinum number 0. So I own watches from the brands that for which I work, but my biggest part of the collection is between Patek, Rolex, and AP. These 3, they do probably 70% of my watches.
All right. And you're also known to have offered your wife with some great timepieces. Maybe you could share some tips with the wonderful men who are in the audience, because it would be great if we have more women interested in watches.
What is the question? I didn't understand.
Just share some tips for men to buy watches
for
for the
men,
women.
for men,
For
or for
women.
women. For
For
women.
women, yeah.
Yes, I hate to say this is a woman's watch. I think this you cannot say anymore. We are in the 21st century, and we should talk about watches. In cars, you don't say it's a woman car. If I see a woman driving a Porsche Carrera, or if I see a woman driving a Lamborghini, for me, it's not wrong. And why should a woman not drive a Lamborghini? What's wrong? Nothing is wrong. On the contrary, it's quite sexy. So it's the same for watches. Women that are wearing, my wife is wearing my watches. And I think that is wonderful. And I love it. And if I would buy a typical lady watch for my wife, she would not like it. She would say, hey, do you know me? Do you think you're going to buy me with a little women's watch? So, so I think women are, first of all, women are the strongest part between men and women. Women are stronger than men because they give birth. And whoever gives birth is stronger than the man, of course. So women are the strongest part of the humanity. Every woman is stronger than every man. We are the weak part of it. So women should be respected for what they are. And women should have all the same rights and all the same advantages, eventually even more than men, because she's stronger. So I have a full respect of women, and I love the fact that they are stronger than me. Uh, not necessarily in the muscle, but in the brain very often, and in the heart, and in the intuition, and in the instinct. And that's beautiful to have partners that are women. It's the best for a man. He couldn't dream about better partners than women. plus, plus, women can be beautiful, women can be sexy, women can be tender, women can be nice. I mean, it's wonderful.
Yeah. I think, like you also mentioned, intuition, and intuition has played a big role in your life, right? Like you say, you've believed in this whole concept of invisible visibility.
Yes.
How has that helped you? And
enormously because I follow my intuition. Because I'm not a technocrat. I use sometimes technocracy as a tool to help, but I constantly make my decision based on intuition and instinct. And I follow my instinct. I believe in my instinct. I believe in my intuition. And that's that this quality you find them more at women. Women have more intuition than men, and women follow their own intuition. And I have learned to follow my intuition. So I believe in all this. I believe in the strength of the trees. I have a tree where I go 2 or 3 times a week, and I take him in my arms, and I tell him, "Listen, give me strength, give me advice. Hey, you have been here. I have a tree that is 1,000 years old, and I tell him, you have been here 1,000 years. Can you help me, please? I will. Don't worry. In 20 years, I will be dead. But in the meantime, give me some strength. Give me some help." So I talk to the tree, and the more I talk to the tree, I think the more he listens, and the more he is helping me. And if that is real or not real, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I believe it.
And that helps you.
Exactly.
That is great. We are a lot of people who are also trying to collect watches now. Do you have any advice for the younger, newer generation of collectors?
My advice is that they should follow me. They should buy with their eyes, with their heart, and with their budget. You have, when you have, these are the 3 best criteria. Buy what you like. Don't buy because it's a trend. Don't buy because others are doing it. Buy with your own eyes. Buy with your own emotion. Buy with your own perception. Buy with your own pleasure. And please respect your budget. That's it.
Yeah, that's a great advice. I think we all start small, and then eventually we can all hope to grow with bigger budgets.
Yes, yes. As time goes on, we all grow. And then a few of us are making a fortune, and then they can buy even more. But even if you don't have much money, you can have the same pleasure in buying. But if you buy with your eyes, with your pleasure, and don't buy what you cannot afford.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson and a great tip for everyone here. I think, Ahan, maybe we can take up questions from the audience now, as we're already 50 minutes in our time.
Yes, sure, Vritti, sure. Hi, Mr. Beaver. This has been an incredible session. Thank you so much. Now we would be moving on to the audience Q&A round, where the audience members will get to ask you questions. So if it's all right, then I think we can start right away. First, Arpit, would you like to come on and ask your question?
Hey, sure. Thanks, Sahan. Thank you, Mr. Beaver. It's been a fantastic evening. Thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for doing this for us. My question is not related to watches, Mr. Beaver, but if you don't mind answering it, you said that you've always been a watch person who's always worked in the watch industry. But the kind of experience you have, if you had to pick up any other industry to be a part of, other than watches, what would it be?
I think I cannot think anything. Maybe I would be a farmer. I love farming. I love animals. I love cheese. I love cows. I love sheep. I love pigs. I love. I have a farm, by the way. I have a farmhouse. I'm making cheese, and that is, I would say, eventually my second passion. I am a lover of farming. I love also the wine. Wine is also farming. I mean, it's a little bit different, but so I would be close to nature. Nature is my God. I don't believe in God. I believe in nature. And nature is God, because God has created nature. So when you believe in planet Earth, then means you believe in God because he has created. So I believe in the creator, and planet is phenomenal. I respect flowers. I love flowers. I, I love trees, as you heard. I speak with my trees. I never walk on the flower when I'm in the forest or on the grass. I take care. So my second passion would be nature, farming.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Back to you.
All right. Now, Ali, would you like to come on and ask a question?
Hi.
Hello, Ali.
Hello. It was really good listening to you, and thank you for all the motivational talks you had given today. So my question is, if you had a chance to work for another watch company, which would it be?
As I can see it today, the luxury watch brand that is the closest to my business perception is probably AP, Audemars Piguet. And why? Because I think Audemars Piguet is talking to the new generation. You know, they don't talk to their actual, they don't talk only to their actual customers, because their actual customer base is 40, 45, 50 years old. They talk to the new generation. And they did a partnership with Marvel, and that is just genius, because they make the young generation dream about their watches. And so the young generation, one day when they make money, when they have a position, social position, they will buy an AP, because you always buy what you have dreamt of. This is the Ferrari syndrome. Why so many young kids are buying Ferrari? Because they have been dreaming about a Ferrari when they were kids. So it's important to make your dream come through. That is one of the most biggest satisfaction you can get in life. If one day you can make a dream come through. And if you have dreamt about a car, about a house, or about any piece of art or a watch, and one day you can make it real and you can buy it, wow, that is an enormous satisfaction. And AP seems to be on that target. They talk to young people, and sometimes the older ones, they say, hey, what have they do? Why are they going with Marvel? What's that? I don't understand. And I answer to these people, you don't need to understand. It was not made for you. It's a communication that was made for the next generation. And for that reason, I would eventually say the brand to which I feel closest to the policy they are adapting is probably AP. But I would also love to work for Patek, because when you work for Patek, you work for the reference of the Swiss watchmaking art. You work for God. They are the God of the watchmaking art. And I would love also to work for Rolex, because they are the king of the watchmaking art. Their symbol is the crown. So you see, those are probably the three brands I would enjoy the most.
Thank you so much for your answer. Now, next we have Nimish. And to everyone, before Nimish comes, we're really sorry. There's a lot of questions pouring in, but we cannot take all of them due to paucity of time. So I hope you understand that we will be limited to about 5 or 6 questions as of now. So Nimish, please.
Good evening, sir. First of all, it's an honor to interact with you and hear your knowledge regarding the watch industry. So, sir, my question is that in in recent times, the movement, the Spring Drive movement by Grand Seiko is considered as one of the greatest movements which has ever come to light. According to you, what are your thoughts on this statement being given that it's the greatest movement being considered? And what's your thought on the Japanese watchmakers' impact on the current watch industry? Do you think they're playing an important role? And do you think that they hold the same emphasis as the Swiss watchmaking industry holds?
Listen, I don't know so much the Japanese watchmaking art. I know that I respect them. That's already a lot. I respect their work. I respect their quality. I respect their creativity. So I have the deepest respect for Seiko. But to say it's the best, it's the biggest, it's the most important movement, I would never play this kind of comments, because it depends who you are. It depends on your personal taste or approach. It's difficult to say this is the best. Now, there is another element that for me is important when you compare both. Swiss made still has another perception, has another luxury flair than Japanese made. And I'm sorry for my Japanese friends, because probably the country I love the most is Japan, besides Switzerland. I love Japan. I love their ethics. I love their behavior. I love their mentality. I love the people. I love the food. I am a big lover of Japan. But when it comes to luxury, which is sometimes driven by unrationality, in every luxury product, there is a little bit of unrationality, unrational. While in every Japanese product, there is a lot of rationality. And so the lack of irrationality doesn't bring, for me, Japanese products in luxury at the same level than Swiss. So I think for the moment, we can be lucky in Switzerland that our products have a little advantage because of the Swiss made. And we have now a duty is to respect, to look at our friends from Japan, sometimes to learn from them, but always respect them and try to maintain our position. And that is the biggest challenge we have for this century, is to keep Swiss made at the level where it is now, eventually even increase it. That is for me the most important task that we have for this century.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for answering.
Okay.
All right.
We go back to India now. India, I'm looking forward to come to India. I love Indian food, by the way.
Mr. Biver, can we have one or two more questions and then we close? Or should we close right away?
No, let's take two more questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mohanish, would you like to come on and ask your question?
Sure. Thank you, Ahan. Hi, Mr. Biver. Pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your time and this wonderful session. I've been a big fan for a long time. My question to you is, we right now live in the epitome of a hype culture. In a lot of industries, the hype culture is impacting a lot of things. How do you think this hype culture that we're in the midst of today will continue to positively or negatively impact the watch industry? The changes that we see today are probably, making changes in the demand for the next 3 to 5 years. But the consumer, the biggest consumer right now, the millennials, people in their early mid, or even late 20s, who are going out and making the purchases, maybe they're Rolex centric, maybe that creates problem for other brands to compete. But how do you think this hype culture will continue to impact the watch industry?
I think the hype culture will weaken by itself, because more and more people the more hype goes on, the more people are leaving hype, because the more people want to be treated individually, want to be special, want to be different, want to be exclusive. And the more you have among your friends people who are wearing this type of shirts or this type of shoes or this type of watches, the more you are, the older you get, the more you are tempted to say, hey, come on, now I'm gonna wear something that these guys don't have. Now I'm gonna show them what is my taste, and I'm not following the trend. I'm gonna make my own trend. This is quite strong now. That is why people are making now, giving possibility for Nike shoes or other projects to make your own pair of shoe. You can choose the color. You can on the internet. This is possible. I think we are going more and more in this direction.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, now the last question.
The last question for tonight is Nishad. Nishad, could you please come on?
Hello, Mr. Weaver. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Doing well, very well, sir. Especially getting a chance to talk to you. So I'm doing very, very well indeed. My question for you is in today's market, we are seeing, especially for the Swiss watches, the market seems quite frothy, especially for brands like Rolex, AP, Patek. These watches are hard to get, quoted multiple of times over their MRPs, etc. We would love to hear your view on your view, whether this kind of trend is a sustainable trend, or where do you see the future for especially these kind of prices? Thank you.
We are living in a period of heavy concentration. We have a concentration of the suppliers in the watch industry. More and more suppliers are eventually closing, or they are bought by brands, because many brands want to have independency. So they buy a case maker, or they buy a dial maker, etc. Or sometimes some suppliers are just closing. So we have a concentration of the suppliers. We have also a concentration of the brands. Many brands are becoming not so significant anymore. And you have less and less brands. Today, we can say we have 8 brands that are doing 80% of the Swiss exports. So that means that is a quite severe concentration. We have a third concentration, which is the concentration of the retailer. Many little retailers are closing. Some retailers are bought by bigger ones. So you have less and less retailers. And last but not least, we have a concentration of the customer. The customer, they all want the same watch. Before, customers would buy this or this. You had a variety. Now, customer, they all want this watch or that watch, the ones we know. So this concentration is now going full speed. But each trend has its own anti-trend. The more a trend is going in one direction, the more you have people who are turning and go the other way. So I think we are now for the next 2-3 years, we will still be in this heavy concentration. And after 2-3 years, we will again go back to more diversity, to more brands, to more people. And we will see that small independent brands will come out. And because people will want to have something that others don't know, and are going after these small independent brands. And I can see independent brands having good time ahead in the next 3-5 years.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Beaver. It's a
Thank you,
pleasure
everybody.
talking to you.
Thank
So,
you so much,
for all
everyone,
the
for your
questions that I
questions.
couldn't answer, I will come back next month. We should do this risk talk again.
Oh,
And I
that
leave
is
it up to you to do that and to tell me when or if you want to do the risk talk again. And eventually we should do 10 risk talks per year. Like this, we can entertain and we can make friends on the through the internet, digital friends.
that would be awesome. I think it's a great news for all of us. We'll be super excited to do it again every month.
Okay, good. So I let you organize this.
Yes, I will do so. So thank you
Bravo.
so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Beaver, for being so accommodating and for giving us your precious time and this opportunity that we can do it more frequently. It has been a privilege to host you and an honor to hear from you. The session was very interesting and very enriching. And in fact, it was a first for us, but hopefully this is just the beginning and we'll have you in India physically, maybe soon.
Okay, thank you very much. Bravo, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
Bye-bye, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you then. Bye and
Thank
stay healthy.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.